everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror, the podcast. We are so happy that you are joining us for our program today, as we are going to be delving into one of my special guests' more enjoyable films. We can't say this film is exactly a great cinematic achievement, but it's a very fun movie, and it's a very big guilty pleasure for a lot of us out there. A lot of us horror fans, that is. So, if you've been listening to our program, what we do is we take an individual horror film from any subgenre of horror, and we kind of discuss and critique, analyze, have a conversation about this film that we are talking about. Now, we don't add any other extra commentary about other stuff that's going on, because we want to devote all of our time to this individual film, because we know that as an audience listening to us talk about these films, you may or may not be interested in the film that we are talking about. But we hope that if you listen to our show, you will have a greater appreciation of the film if you have seen it, or you will go out there and look for it yourself to see it for yourself. So without further ado, I'm going to first introduce my guest tonight before I introduce the title that we're talking about. So I am very happy to have Dave Watkins and Thomas Tenorello on the show today. We rarely have them both together, and it's always good to have these guys talking about movies. Thank you guys for showing up.
I agree. It is good. It is good to have us on here. I agree.
It is good to be alive.
And the film we're talking about is today is Waxwork from 1988. I almost wanted to say Waxworks, but it is Waxwork without the S, from 1988, starring Zach Galligan and directed by Anthony Hitchcock, who did a ton of other horror movies that we may or may not talk about later. So,
we will.
We will. So, guys, talking about this film right here, before we get really, really into the nitty gritty, the nuts and bolts of the movie Waxwork, tell me a little bit about how you came to this film, how you first came to this film, and kind of like what are your thoughts? Dave, you start off.
I saw this first on USA Up All Night when I was probably a teenager, and it was I'd seen Gremlins, and I was a fan of Gremlins already, and I thought it was pretty cool to see Zach Galligan in a horror film, and so I don't know, I really dug the whole experience, and it had we talked about this a little bit before. It did have commercials, and it was edited, so it when you see the unedited version, you see some additional stuff in it that's a little bit better.
What about you, Thomas?
Well, Dave, sort of similar to you. I did first get exposed to this movie ? On a horror cable show, but for me, of course, it was the.
You went mute, Tom.
How the heck did that happen? I swiped something wrong. So yeah, we'll edit that out later. So I first got exposed to this movie thanks to Dr. Paul Bearer, Creature Features, on St. Petersburg's local access station. He was our local horror host, dressed up like a mortician, and sang songs like "Poisoning Pigeons in the Park" on his harpsichord. And this was one of the movies that was just dumped on us in the late 90s. And and I saw, of course, like Dave, I saw a cut for time, censored version, and yet I stuck around and watched mostly the whole thing. But I realized as I was rewatching it how much of it I either did not remember or just was not privy to, because I think maybe when I was a kid I would watch this on a bright Saturday afternoon and probably wander off and go play with my He-Man figures in the middle of the movie and then come back for the end. I think that's probably what ended up happening. So I didn't really get a full appreciation of it until today. I literally just finished watching it on Tubi no more than 40 minutes ago. So my reactions are fresh.
So
raw, you might say.
Well, my experience is going to be much different than you guys, because I actually saw this when it came out. When it first came out, my parents rented this movie because I loved the poster for this movie. I saw the poster, cool. I saw the trailer. I wanted to see this movie, and I couldn't wait till it came out on video. I actually had this poster for a while up in my bedroom, because back in the day when there were video rental stores that only had VHS cassettes in them, they used to give away the posters when Blockbuster didn't like dominate the whole industry, the mom and pop's place would just give you posters away because they had too many to give away. And so I had this poster in my room for years.
Yeah. I had the poster of Jason Goes to Hell. I got it similarly.
So I had seen as grown up, because this movie came out when I was roughly about 12 years old. So I saw this when I was about 12, maybe 13 years old, and it had a lot of monsters in it. And as you all know, as everyone on this program knows, I'm a big monster kid. So I love this movie because it had like all the great it had mummies in it, werewolves, zombies. Dude, this movie had everything in it. I love this movie.
There's 18 monsters in the film, plus the villains.
Yeah, they had to invent some monsters because they didn't have the rights to certain ones.
Yeah, which is why the ending was so phenomenal to me as a kid. Like I love the ending to this because you got to see all the monsters come to life and just wreak havoc. This was a great movie and kind of a guilty pleasure. I saw this way too many times as a kid. I will agree with you on that one.
In many ways, I feel like this is Cabin in the Woods before Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah. Yes, that's a good reference. Before Cabin in the Woods. Because that's the reason why I love that movie too.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely like a meta horror comedy where kitchen sink every kind of monster is in it at some point. And it's super funny. And as we'll get into it, I'm gonna let you in and say that this is one of the few horror movies that we will ever talk about on this show where I can honestly say I have personally met a cast member.
Oh, nice.
And I'll tell you who that is later.
Okay.
I hope it's Dana Ashbrook.
No, it wasn't Dana Ashbrook. Which one was she? Wait, China? Is she China?
No,
Dana Ashbrook from Twin Peaks. He's the guy. He played Bobby in Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm a big Twin Peaks fan, so
I'm sorry. I forgot that Dana can also be a girl.
Yeah. Michelle Johnson plays China. I thought you were fucking with us too when you said that.
No, I was like, oh, you think you're the wrong person. I was like, oh my god, no, because I was thinking the same thing you were. He wasn't nearly as big a Twin Peaks fan as we are. So I was like, I got it immediately, but I could tell that he didn't.
Sorry.
No, it's hilarious. Because nowadays, John Rhys Davies, who plays the werewolf in the film, and David Warner, he has a name. I can't remember.
Mr. Lincoln is the character's name. Yeah.
And then of course Zach Galligan, who's best known for freaking Gremlins.
In
this, he's done tons of other stuff, but that's what he's known for.
Yeah. I hope they bring him back if they make that Gremlins 3. I hope they bring him back in there. Actually, I think he's a pretty good actor, really. Though he needs to do more stuff.
I'm sure he did other stuff too, but nothing that was where he was the main star. And what's funny about this movie is when I rewatched it. Now that I'm grown up, I've grown. Because it's been several years since I've last seen this film. But when I rewatched that, I realized that he's the rich kid he was like smoking all the time.
Oh yeah.
Like he never comes off as a teenager, but he's supposed to be a teenager in high school.
There's a lot of smoking in this film.
Oh no,
really.
No, they're not. They're not. Yeah, he is, but no, they're not in high school. They are in college because in the very first scene, his mother says, "Go run off to college."
See, I kept thinking. His mother's feeding him milk, and I'm like,
it kind of looks like high school when they're at the football game.
It does. It does. It's like they wanted to I think they wanted to up their ages so that when they get slaughtered, it's not that much of a tragedy, I guess. But maybe, I think they've really Anthony Hitchcock kind of wrote them more as like 50s era high school kids.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Because they're dressed that way too. He has them dressed really odd.
Yeah, they're dressed really. I only noticed that now as I'm older. When I was 12 or 13 years old, none of that fazed me at all.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
So now that we mentioned him, we should probably also talk about the director, Anthony Hitchcock, who passed away fairly recently. So
really? I did not know that.
Yeah. 2023 is when he passed away.
Yeah. So, and he was, of course, famous for such unassailable classics as Full Eclipse with Mario Van Peebles as a vigilante werewolf. What?
A great movie. That's so much fun. That movie's so much fun.
He also did Warlock the Armageddon, Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, Sundown, A Vampire in Retreat, aka the vampire western with Bruce Campbell as Van Helsing.
It also has Dana Ashbrook in it as well.
And Dana Ashbrook.
I just saw that one for the first time.
Oh, yeah. Also, Jill Rips, aka the Dolph Lundgren dominatrix cop thriller.
Yeah.
And of course, this movie and its even better sequel, Waxwork 2, Lost in Time, which we'll talk about later.
Well, I will say that I watched Hellraiser 3 recently, and that one's pretty strong. I think a lot of people don't like with the CD hell the Cenobites at the end and all that, but it's a lot better. It's a lot better than I remembered, and it's one of the better Hellraiser films.
I agree too.
Yeah,
I don't know why so many people gave it so much flack when it first came out, because for me, it's a very solidly directed film with some very strong performances. I can't remember Pamela Marcia and the other the girl from Deep Space Nine.
They got like really good chemistry, and they almost seem like I think if it was done today, they would make them like lovers or whatnot. They kind of seem like that was going to happen, but then it doesn't.
Yeah, I think they just had a lot more fun with the premise, which doesn't play off in any other sequel after that one. I think that one unfortunately is a product of his time, because Anthony Hitchcock was probably the best choice to do a movie in which you're going to like it because it's going to be entertaining as shit, as opposed to being the most literary type of movie out there. There's a huge tonal difference between the original Hellraiser and Hellraiser 3. Just like the tone for this movie in Warlock, the Armageddon. He as a director, he is in Full Eclipse. Remember, in Full Eclipse, his tone is like consistent across his home filmography. So when you're watching a film of his, you know what you're going to get.
Yeah, even like say Warlock the Armageddon too. It has that same type of feel to it. I actually like it. A lot of it's really weird. Actually, of like most of these films. And most people, I remember like talking to them in high school when I was watching them, and most people did not like them. They thought they were cheesy, or they didn't get it that it's partially a comedy. Yeah, that you had to mix the humor in. I think if people were watching it, same thing with this movie, Waxwork. If they're watching it and they don't realize it's a comedy, then they're gonna be like thinking it sucks.
Oh, you cannot. You cannot take this movie seriously at all. And this movie doesn't take it at all.
But you have to accept that. You have to accept it's partially a comedy. If you do not, the part Waxwork 2 is a lot more obvious in the comedy. This one, it takes a little while before you realize it. But say that werewolf bust out, and most people think the werewolf looks like shit. I've always thought the werewolf looked fairly unique. But they think it looks like shit, but to me it's always. I mean, I think it looks unique, and it also looks somewhat funny.
It looks, and so we're talking about the I guess the first person who dies in the film.
Hold on, guys, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. We should probably tell the people out there who have not even seen this movie what is the premise of this thingamajigger.
And every time we do a new movie for the show, we have different guests who do it different ways. So with this film, because we're jumping all over the place, we probably do need to set a little bit of the mood, which includes all the characters we mentioned, plus some of the characters that we haven't, which includes, I have all of their list name. Mark is played by Zach Galligan. He's our main guy. And of course, there's Sarah and China. China's the hot one, whereas Sarah is kind of the nerdy geek one. But she has her best friends, the hot chick that all the men want to go after. And as you're watching this, like literally all the men are going after her, including Mark. So there is that sense of sexual promiscuity, and that plays into the film even more with Sarah's character. But then there's also Jenkins, James, and Gemma, and then there's some other characters that come up. Whoa. But what essentially happens to start us all off is that China and Sarah have been invited to a grand opening midnight special opening for a waxwork that just seems to have popped up in the neighborhood out of nowhere.
So that scene too, that's when David Warner, you first see him for the first time, he just like pops up and he's acting all ominous and weird as shit, but she's like, China's really flirting with him. But I think David Warner was an awesome actor, but I think the direction on that's a little off. because he should have been a slightly less like intimidating and more like welcoming.
Right. Well, I think that some of the really rough ends with this movie, which were very clear to me when I read the rewatch, I think you can chalk that up to the fact that this was Mr. Hickok's first movie, his first feature film. This is it. This is where it all began. So this is where you make all your mistakes, is in this. And yeah, it's tonally kind of all over the place. It's pacing all over the place. The second act is kind of dragged sometimes, and the dialogue is there's some great lines though, but most of the non-funny stuff, it just doesn't really work. But a lot of that also has to do with the fact that A, it's his first movie, and B, he wrote the script in 3 days.
Well, it tells, because if you notice, because I noticed this when I was younger, because I've also seen this movie a billion times, is that there is a lot of plot elements from Fright Night also contained within the framework of this film. You know, because you have our main character who goes to the police and isn't believed by anyone. And
I think the police kind of believe him though, because
not at first. No, he doesn't. He has this weird little flashback because he sees all the characters in the Waxwork Museum. Then he goes back to his office and says, "There's something not right. These people look familiar."
But it's not as big of a pushback though, because when he first comes in there and talks to him, the cop right away says, "You know what? There's like all these people who have been disappearing. I'm open to looking into this. Let's go look at it." And they go and look. And then he goes in there and he senses something's off, but then, like you said, but he doesn't get as big of a pushback as a lot of other films in this.
He certainly doesn't get as big of a pushback as he got in Gremlins, when they just blew him off and got drunk.
Yeah.
But this film belongs to that venerable sub genre of waxwork horror movies. The other ones, of course, being Terror at the Waxwork. Terror at the Waxwork Museum back in the 20s, both versions of House of Wax, and also the Paris Hilton version. And then, Wax Mask, and that's about, maybe Tourist Trap counts too, I guess, as a killer waxwork movie. And then, of course, one of the best episodes of Alfred Hitchcock Presents is a episode where a man gets locked in a waxwork at night, and one of the wax dummies of a killer seemingly comes to life, and it's very, very scary. For some reason, people have always been creeped out by life-size wax dummies staring. Yeah, but this movie isn't quite that. This movie is a little different in that it's not really a killer waxwork movie until the very end, because up until then, it's really more of like a hellish version of Quantum Leap, because they like you said, China and her friends, including Zach Galligan's character Mark, and Sarah, they're all invited to go see this weird waxwork by David Warner, who is not present at the grand opening. There's just this little dwarf guy who's hilarious, and whenever he bows, there's a little sound effect like, and then there's a big tall lurch guy.
Yeah. And
they just kind of invite them in, and when they spread out kind of silently amongst the displays, some of them get entranced to look closer at the waxwork. And then one guy, just like, I guess the goofball of the group, he's not really a jock. I don't even remember what his thing was really. But
he wears like really high white socks. So that's Dana Ashbrook's character, Tony.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm guessing nowadays you would call him the stoner of the group or whatever, because he's always speaking. But like, he loses his lighter in the waxwork. And by the way, I love the little detail that when his lighter flicks out, you can hear a little electric zap.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he goes in, he gets sucked into like a blue portal that has the same electric sound. And once he's inside, he's literally inside the world that the wax diorama displays. So in his case, he's stuck in the woods and he sees a cabin, and inside that cabin is a werewolf, or at least a man who's about to turn into a werewolf, played by none other than John Rhys Davies. Gimli himself is like, "It's too late for me. Get out of here." And he becomes a werewolf. And so, but all the time,
he's probably in it all of like 30 seconds before that happens. It's crazy.
And this happens for like almost every single kid at one point. And then you could almost see this as being like structured like a short film, because I mean, really, it seems after a while that this is going to be a short movie. All these kids are going to was there 2, 4, 5 of them? I think.
Where there's 6 to begin with, and 2 of them get scared and leave.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but there's really like so 2 of them go into them, and then they get killed, but then the other 2 leave.
Right, but once you die in the Waxwork dimension, you become a wax dummy in our present day, in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's kind of cool about it. And also like the way that they die is kind of ironic. Like the werewolf kid, kind of, he doesn't get eaten by the werewolf. He gets shot by the werewolf hunter after he gets bitten by the werewolf and starts becoming a werewolf.
So something that's real interesting when they go into these worlds is that if they, like later on, this is more because as a viewer, you're thinking, what happens if they turn around and try to go back out the way that they came in? And the second is, what if they don't accept it as reality? But if they accept it as reality, and the longer they're in there, it's almost like a drug. They start to become the character that they are that they're being portrayed as. And they're always their wardrobe and their hair and everything changes, and suddenly they are this character. And if they feed into the delusion, the more they feed into it, then they get killed. But if they reject it, then they might not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something that kind of like, but I don't think they're fully consistent with that. There's really no like, I mean, like everybody starts thinking this is a dream, or the first guy, the stoner guy, thinks he's under hypnosis.
Yeah,
and then
he gives like 6 different reasons. He's really like trying to rationalize it. And he gives like 6 different possible things that he could be.
Yeah, but the reason why he can't leave is because he doesn't go back the way he came. He doesn't go back towards the portal. He feels like he has to be pulled towards the cabin. So he goes back to the cabin.
He thinks he's on some kind of trip. I think one of the first things he says is, did China slip some acid into my drink again or something like that? So he first off does that, and then he feeds into the delusion of he goes in there and he's like, okay, this guy, in order to get past this, I gotta go get him some firewood.
Yep.
He comes up with his own
It seems like whenever they see the monster of whatever display it is coming after them, for the most part, that's when they sort of quote unquote start to believe, I guess. Because there's for any of them, there's no real dialogue or any like real acting moment that shows the turn from unbelief to belief. Maybe the only real exception maybe for that is kind of when they go in and just immediately kind of accept it, kind of like China does when she's the second victim. She just goes in after the vampire display because she, I guess, has got horny eyes for the Dracula.
Dracula is very hypnotic in general anyway, but I think that some of them are more drawn to certain displays than others, but the Dracula one is she definitely becomes very consumed with that one. It
happens with Sarah in the Marquis de Sade sequence, and it happens with the cop Roberts, who likes mummies, and he immediately goes back towards the mummy exhibit. So they are drawn to specific ones.
I think there is a very powerful draw too from within. The reason that these exhibits are there, and you see in the first scene of the film where the grandfather, Zach Galligan's character, is getting killed, he shove his face into the fire, and then there's these artifacts around the room, and then that's what they take, and those artifacts are what makes the exhibits powerful.
Yeah, you find all this out later in the midpoint of the movie. Yeah. You're almost more than halfway through when Patrick Macnee's character shows up as Mr. Wilford. He's like Zach Galligan's godfather, and we're like very hurriedly introduced to him without any reference to him at all before. He just info dumps on these kids and tells them exactly what's what. But we'll get to him when we get to him. I almost feel like these displays and the way these characters get into it almost gives the movie an anthology feel.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that about it. It makes it feel almost as if you're watching a different movie each time, and like a little short film. sometimes they're a little too short. Like I kind of wish the Mummy one had gone on a little bit longer. I kind of wish the black and white zombie one had gone on a little bit longer. But
That
yeah,
one, that was really short.
Really, the only long one is the Dracula one.
yeah, the vampire one.
Yeah,
That one is.
Yeah.
That one, I think we should talk like hunker down a little bit into it, because that one is probably the most accomplished of all the segments. It's also, I think, does the most interesting things with the vampire, because in this version the vampires are more like cannibals than vampires.
Yeah.
And they also like change the lore a little bit to where it's like literally there's a character, we'll get into it, but like the character's fiance, quote unquote, in this reality, tells her literally straight up, this is how you kill a vampire. You have to either stake it through the heart or cut its head off or he says crucifix. He's wrong, because really you can just Peter Cushing it with any two objects. She uses
she does it too, yeah.
And puts it, just put it to their head and they'll just explode.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I would think, well, I guess do that all the time, because
yeah. Well, I think that Dracula is a lot more powerful than the other ones. The other ones are he's got that stare. He catches her eye, and it's all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally. It's also like the single bloodiest of all of the segments, and it was actually cut by the MPAA. In fact, if you watch this, if you have the Region 2 Blu-ray of it, or DVD, you'll see the movie with better picture quality and widescreen, but you will see a very cut to pieces version of the vampire sequence. There's so much more blood spray and gore that's in the original version, which is the one you get on the Region 1 disc. If you
so I've got the Vestron Collector's Edition one.
That's what I have too.
Does it have two versions on it?
No, I think it just has the one, if I'm not mistaken. But I thought it was pretty gory.
The Region 1 is actually in 4:3, and it's less video it's less picture quality, but it does have more gore in it.
Yeah.
And there's also like different editing to it, and I think that's probably, and if you go on Tubi, that's the version that's on there. So the Vestron Video one just has the widescreen version.
Yeah.
Oh, bummer.
Not really. It's gory.
I may have all this stuff in there. If you've seen Return of the Living Dead 3 on the Vestron Collector's Edition, like it's got like a lot more shit in there than normally. It's crazy. I think they probably were able to get the scenes for it, because it seemed pretty gory to me when I was watching it.
Yeah, same here. I was about to comment on that. Like when they kill people and characters and monsters in there, it's pretty freaking gory. They don't shy away from that at all in this movie.
The werewolf part's pretty gory too. Like when that one dude gets killed that tries to distract the werewolf and he like busts his head off. It's
Well, I remember seeing like what reminded me of this is that when I saw there's a channel on YouTube called Good Bad Movies or Good Bad Flicks, and Good Bad Flicks did a side by side of the two versions and showed you what was missing. So
it could be more to it than we think. But,
maybe they've changed, or who knows? Maybe Vestron went back into the vault and found the original negative and fixed it. I don't know. It'd be great if they did. I hope so. I would hope that Vestron Video has very high quality standards that way.
Well, sometimes when that happens though, when they do a TV edit, they can't really duplicate it because of the 4:9 aspect of it without, if they've lost the original elements. I've seen that happen sometimes. They can't get those TV scenes back in there without either getting the the SD version that you're talking about, which is they're gonna have to crop it in. It's gonna look really bad, and it's jarring.
Yeah, I've seen a version of Halloween 2 that's like that, where where you could tell if you don't know the scenes that weren't originally conceived for the movie that they added for the TV version, and then you see a version that wasn't the TV version, but they tried to make I forget what the upgrade I saw was, and you could tell the quality is different, because I think what they tried to do was to make the original TV version footage fit the aspect ratio of the original Halloween 2 movie, and it's like, this doesn't look good.
Yeah.
I don't know why they do that. As like, just who gives a shit about the TV version? You add scenes that didn't need to be there, or you rearrange scenes that didn't need to be rearranged. Fuck it, we don't care about TV version.
Well, I mean, unless you were like one of those kids, maybe the TV version was the first one you saw, and that's like your Halloween.
I think on that Scream Factory's collector's edition, they've got both versions. I think that's how it needs to be. You need to be able to have both versions.
Yeah.
That makes it more. I guess you've got basically makes it a more complete set of movies when you have all the different cuts of it.
Yeah, I like to be a completist about. Yeah. But with this movie, we're going back to the vampire sequence. I have a funny story because she goes in there and she has dinner with the vampire family.
Yeah.
And they eat this bowl of what they say is raw meat. And she's like, and then he's like, we can, and to his credit, this is the nicest Dracula I've ever seen. He's like, if you don't approve, we can have something. And she's like, oh no, it's fine. I haven't had steak tartare in a long time. And he pauses, is like, oh yes, steak tartare.
Yeah. That sequence is hilarious.
It is.
Yeah.
It's so smartly written and funny.
Yeah.
It's one of the highlights, and the way that she slowly eats it.
Yeah.
And the sloshy noise, the mouth noises these vampires make as they eat the steak.
When she goes to like eat it, she takes a bite, and all the other ones all of a sudden go like they go like dive into the bowls, and then the main Dracula like hits his hand on the table or something, and they're all like, "Oh, okay, we better."
Oh, that's
wait.
because he's a stickler for manners.
Yeah.
He refuses to let them eat until his guest has had the first bite. But yeah, so the funny story though is from my childhood was like, I don't know how we got into this, but my Uncle Kenny and I started talking, and like for some reason like I may have mentioned this movie to him, or maybe it was playing at the time, and he was like, oh yeah, that was hilarious. And he talked about the steak tartare. He thought that was the funniest thing ever. And what's funny is like Uncle Kenny is like it was a 50-something conservative Christian Jewish man who loved this movie, which it's totally out of character for him. Like he wouldn't let his kids watch Scooby-Doo, but he loved Waxwork.
Probably saw it on USA Up All Night or something, I guess.
Probably, I don't know, but I just thought it was delightful that I could connect with my uncle that way through this movie.
Yeah, that is awesome.
So like fast forward through, like she's walking through the hallways to get to her bedroom, and by the way, like these sets look huge. I don't know where they found them in such a small budget.
Yeah.
They look gigantic. But like the young vampire Stefan tries to bite her, and that's when she figures out, oh, these guys are freaking vampires, I better run. But I think there was a missed opportunity for comedy there, because his fangs like go for her neck, and instead he goes and bites a marble bust of a woman. You hear it clink. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, they should have had a chipped vampire tooth. Like that would have been the funniest thing ever, but no, they didn't do it. Probably because apparently in real life that actor had broken the bridge that keeps the two teeth together inside his mouth, so he had to use chewing gum to keep them inside his gums.
Yeah,
it was really low budget. But we go from there to my favorite set in this whole movie, which is the white tile human slaughterhouse.
Yeah, but it looks so good.
Yeah, doesn't it? It's so like unexpected. You don't expect to see a place like that. It kind of reminds me of Frankenstein's lab in Andy Warhol's Flush for Frankenstein.
Yeah, very very clean looking.
Yeah, very clean and very white, and the perfect color to have for a scene that's going to be stoked in blood. Yeah. But she goes down there and finds a man who's like, it's me, darling, your fiance. Don't turn on the lights. I don't want you to see me this way. Of course, she turns on the lights. And there he is, this man, strapped half naked to a table, and his left leg is completely stripped of flesh to the bone. And I guess he has a tourniquet above it, because otherwise he'd be dead.
Yeah, he'd be dead. I mean, he just from the trauma of it, but he's pretty strong, I guess. He's like, and this is where she learns from him that they're vampires and how to kill vampires. And he's like, save yourself. You have to. No, it's not saying save yourself. He's like, you have to destroy them. He puts it on her. You have to kill them. This is how you do it.
And then bam comes the vampire brides, and she stakes. Oh no, wait. Stefan comes in first. Then she crucifixes his head, and he explodes.
Yeah, it's awesome.
First bit of explosion blood there.
But that something you missed something though that's where the steak tartare comes from. Is the guy's leg.
Yeah,
They actually come in and eat off of his leg too. When the guy comes in there.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, and then that little beat confirmed it. I was like, oh, that means she was committing cannibalism without even
eating her husband's leg.
Her fiance, yeah, that's wild. Which is, again, this is why, like I said, this does something with vampires that we don't normally do, because we have this very kind of elevated, elegant, kind of the Victorian sort of ideal of what vampires are, but then you contrast that with this like grueling, gruesome kind of human slaughterhouse version of it, and it's really unique. There's not that many other takes of this that I can remember that do that. So it's hugely bloody. She ends up dispatching almost all of them. This is one funny scene where she stakes one of the lady vampires in the heart, throws her against the wine wall, and the wine bottles come through her. Yeah. And then the champagne bottles pop and spray China all over her face and neck with shampoo, or sorry, champagne.
Champagne.
Yeah.
It's so very visually amazing the way that Hitchcock put all this stuff together, because he could have just done a regular vampire film or vampire segment, but none of the segments in this film are what you would typically associate each of their genre stuff. So
yeah, he kind of goes full Raimi with this segment. I think it's very Gonzo, very Sam Raimi.
Yeah. I think he says on the director's commentary originally they had this segment first and then the werewolf segment second. And I think they made a really good choice in flipping them like they did.
Oh yes, agreed.
Yeah,
this one this segment here kind of opens up kind of like all the possibilities that will come in some of the other ones, especially when you start thinking of the fact that they're borrowing from the Marquis de Sade, and then of course the Mummy, and some of the ones we don't really see. I think it's Jack. Is it Jack the Ripper?
What?
Jack the Ripper.
We don't see that one. We see
you only really see 5 of the worlds.
Yeah,
of the 18, you see most of the monsters, but you see all the monsters. Some of them briefly, but you only see 5 worlds that they go into, and the Dracula one being the longest, and the werewolf is probably the second longest. But then
I would say the Marquis de Sade one's long, but that one's overly long.
Well, that one's a little different though, because that one like 2 people go into it, so it ends up being like a different scenario than the other ones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, so because of this, 2 of their friends disappear, and Zach Galligan goes to find Sarah, and Sarah's transfixed by the de Sade thing. He's like, "Hey, we gotta. I don't know what happened to our friends. I'm getting creeped out by this." So it's kind of funny here how Galligan's character kind of becomes the scared girl in this scenario. He becomes the one who says, "I got a bad feeling about this, let's get out of here." And for once they actually get out of there.
He's not well, his character is not really into any of the damn displays.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like he ends up getting pushed into the zombie one later, but like he doesn't give a shit about them. He's like, "This sucks. Let's get out of here." You know?
You get the impression that the only reason why he's there is because because of China. He's not there for his own amusement. He doesn't give 2 shits about the waxwork. He's there because China is there. And then why it goes deeper is because he wants to know what the fuck happened to China. It's not like there's other things there. It literally is he's following behind this girl he absolutely loves. For this film,
it's never really made clear exactly. I'm sure they were dating, but then China kind of cheated on him with the jock, and then they have a fight before any of this happens, which was very well staged. The fight, the little kind of verbal tete-a-tete they have at the house before the waxwork. But he's still obsessed with her even when she disappears. And he's just like, I guess I just want what I can't have. And then poor Sarah's lagging behind him saying, I know the feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, is that she wants Zach Galligan, and Zach Galligan can't get over, at least at this point, poor China. And that's kind of what leads us into the whole middle act of this movie, which kind of meanders a little bit until we get to Sir Wilfrid. There is like we mentioned before, there is like a little segment where he tries to get the cops to investigate, and I feel like the cop subplot doesn't really go anywhere, because the cop goes to the Waxwork, and David Warner tries to kill him, and unsuccessfully. And but then the cop goes back to the Waxwork, and this I do remember vividly from my childhood because I thought it was so weird and creepy and gross. Because he goes in and looks at the newly formed China's wax figure, and he cuts out a piece of the wax cheek, thinking maybe there's a dead body underneath that, a la House of Wax.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
There isn't. What's down there is a layer of muscle and sinew, also made of wax.
Yeah.
Which is pretty wild. And then he basically carves out a little piece of it, and then takes it as a sample, but he never does anything with it. He doesn't.
He's not able to do anything with it because he doesn't get out of there. Yeah. He
gets out of there, but then he comes back, and when he comes back, gun drawn, leaving his partner in the car. That's when he goes and has his little encounter with the mummy. Which,
but no, that's when he goes in there and gets the cheekbone, though. That's when he goes into the mummy cage when he's leaving.
He doesn't get out of the wax museum before as he's going out. He still is transfixed with that mummy exhibit, and then he ends up going into the mummy exhibit.
But he comes there twice, but then the second time he comes in there, like he doesn't get out when he gets the evidence. He doesn't actually get out with the evidence.
Yeah. Because then that forces his partner to come in because he hasn't come back. And unfortunately, his partner, he just gets his neck snapped by Lurch.
It was a pretty hilarious scene, though. He's like, why the hell did you kill him? And then he starts like crying and shit.
Yeah. Because we need victims. And that's where we realize how many victims they need, how many's left. All this leads up to plot points that are very important to the plot, because then we realize exactly why they need them and all that stuff later when we meet the Wilfrid character, who explains a lot.
It does. Before we get on to that, though, Kevin, I think we should talk about the mummy sequence, because I know you're a mummy aficionado, and I figured you'd enjoy talking about this sequence in depth.
No, well, we don't have to really. It's not really that in depth. By the time the police Roberts gets thrown in there, the archaeologist, so-called the father figure, and then of course there's the little girl, the daughter / woman who doesn't do anything other than stand there. They're trying to uncover the casket.
Yeah. There's a guy in there like an
assistant.
Assistant who's like he starts praying and stuff. He gets a pretty good death scene.
Great, because he's more or less the local guy who's like, I believe in all the curses and stuff like that. Because once they open the casket and the older archaeologist pulls out the scroll and starts reading it, the mummy comes alive, and the local guy starts wanting to pray and stuff. The mummy's cool, because he's not because of what they did with the face on this mummy.
Yeah, it looks good.
Does not look like he is like a decimated carcass like the one inside the casket. He looks like there's some like facial features to this mummy. He has some body build to him, and he's going around, and he ain't walking. Everyone gets trapped in there, because once they read the scroll, the door closes in on them, and there's no way for them to get out. But the mummy's alive. He kills the assistant first. I believe he smashes his head in.
Yeah. He's like praying on the ground. He comes and steps on his head and just like smushes it into the floor. Freaking disgusting. That set looks really good, though. It
does look good, even though it's a small set. It looks really good.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he goes after the old archaeologist, who then impales the mummy with one of the weapons left behind. But then he gets impaled by it himself, because that doesn't affect the mummy at all.
The mummy just gives him a big hug and impaled.
Pretty much. And then, of course, the girl is just sitting there, not doing nothing. I was like, wow.
I mean, It was the 80s.
But it's funny.
Yeah.
Because
but if you look at like the scene with China, though, she does fight the vampires. So they know that the women can fight, but this one's intentional.
For sure, for sure. Make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen. This movie does not like completely like fridge women. I mean, there are strong women in this movie. Make no mistake, it happens. But one thing I do want to point out is my favorite thing about this whole sequence, aside from what you mentioned, that yes, it's a different take on the Mummy, and I love what they do, how juicy he is. But I didn't notice it until I rewatched it. But like the moment he enters the tomb, the music that is playing, it's Swan Lake.
Right. It is. Yeah.
And which Universal hounds out there know, Swan Lake is the opening theme to the original Boris Karloff, The Mummy.
Yep.
Isn't that great? They're a great little nod to some film history there.
It makes that scene so much better too when that song comes on. It makes the whole thing feel like a lot different.
Yeah. Although me personally, I prefer to unite that movie with that song with Dracula. To me, whenever there's Swan Lake, I think Dracula, but that's just me.
Yeah, they definitely reused it in The Mummy. It was
They totally did.
Yeah.
So then we go to Mr. Wilfred's.
Not yet, because I got to mention the rest of the story, because this is different than the other ones. In that, once the Mummy picks up the young lady and throws her in the casket with the corpse, which his arms come willingly to take the woman with him, the cop Roberts gets put in the casket with them, so they're both trapped, and the Mummy just covers the casket up. And then it's the end. This one, he does not die.
He dies because I think he's going to like eventually not have any food or suffocate or whatever.
Well, there's also a snake in there with them, so I think the snake is probably gonna gonna do them in. Yeah,
but I think it might have taken them a little bit longer to die than some of the other ones. Some people, depending on which one they go into, die immediately. With this one, seemed like it was gonna, since they had more time because there wasn't anybody in there to stop anything, so they had more time to kill him.
Also, Watkins, not to we almost until the very end of this movie, we don't actually see what happens in the real world while this process of spectral time murder is happening. But at the end, jumping ahead briefly, when David Warner Lincoln throws two random people. So this other random couple to finally get his last two victims, we actually see them go in, and we see that the process is from our end is pretty instant. Like, boom, there is a new figure in the wax.
Yeah, that could just be for like time purposes for the film, and they are random, but they're friends from earlier on in the movie that ran off. James and Gemma.
Mm-hmm. I like that concept. They should have been there the very first time, but since they escaped, they ended up back there anyways. I like that.
Why did they come back after they ran off the first time?
Like I said, remember, guys, this movie was written in 3 days.
But yeah, it's cool to bring the people back. But at the same time, it's like, why though? Especially like after freaking out the first time. But
yeah, you're right. It doesn't make sense.
A lot happens in between the days, and who knows what Mark and Sarah told those two when that whole scene where Mark is trying to figure out what happened to China and what happened to Tony.
Well, I think they gave him even more reason not to want to come back. Because they said they're gone. They disappeared. We went to the Waxwork and they disappeared.
Yeah.
Oh my God! All right, so let's get to Wilfred now, because this is a very exciting and different aspect of the film. Once we get to this part,
yeah, he's kind of like the Professor X to David Warner's Magneto.
Yeah.
In the sense that he is also a British gentleman of stature, a Shakespearean actor played by Sir Patrick Macnee, and also he is in a wheelchair. And these are all the things that he shares in common with Marvel's Professor X.
He played. He was in the Avengers show. He played like the main character on that.
Yeah. And I swear that I keep having this image in my head of Patrick Macnee hosting some kind of weird, scary, like reality show for sci-fi, like a paranormal show, and I cannot remember what it is.
Maybe I don't. He was like a major character in The Howling, though. He's the second build.
Oh
in
yes,
The
that's
Howling.
right. Yeah, that's why he gets killed by a werewolf.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But yeah, so he's basically like the Professor X of this movie, and he's like we said, he's Zach Galligan's godfather in this movie, and he's the one who tells them that Mr. Lincoln was the head servant of Zach Galligan's character's grandfather, and that his grandfather was into all kinds of occult things, and Lincoln is one who killed his grandfather. So basically the wild murder that happened at the beginning of the movie, where this grandfather gets his head into the fireplace and burned to death, and the hand that was taking all those artifacts, that was Lincoln's hand, but that was way back in the 30s, which is probably why this old-timey version of the song Sing 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 is playing. It's very out of place, but I guess it's just there to remind you this was the old days.
Yeah.
But then they look at his picture and they go, he hasn't aged a day. And of course, our Professor X, Sir Wilford, says, well, if you'd sold your soul to Satan, you wouldn't age a day either.
Yeah.
And he explains that Lincoln is basically like a warlock who is planning to tip the scales in evil's favor by resurrecting through voodoo magic, or at least a deeply ignorant and problematic Western understanding of voodoo magic, making wax effigies of all the most evil men throughout history. Which
he does qualify it, though. He does say that that David Warner's character, he sold his soul to the devil, so he has to do this.
Yeah,
he sold his soul to the devil so he could be younger, but this is something that he has to do for the devil. So he doesn't necessarily, I guess, want to do it, but he has to do it.
Well, later on, Zach Galligan, when they had their climactic battle, quote unquote, at the end, he asks him, "Why are you doing this?" Basically, now he doesn't use the words, right. But Warner's explanation is just, basically, and what he says is, "Why do you want to end the world?" And he's like, "Somebody has to."
Yeah.
I think, though, if you're caught up in this, if you've sold your soul to the devil, and the devil wants you to do something, you're either going to fight it or you're going to go with it, And at this point, it's just you can't fight it, so it's go with it, just get more into it.
I got the impression that he's just bored with the world, so he wants to just end it. Apparently, he's using voodoo, and a thing about, and also kind of another Western idea about voodoo, which actually we've seen before in Skeleton Key, is this idea that you need a believing victim. In other words, if you believe in the magic, then if you believe in the voodoo, then it can hurt you. If you don't believe in it, it can't hurt you. So that's what Sir Wilford tells them, and that's how Zach Galligan has to learn how to apply that to himself, and that's how he's able to, run away, get out of the wax display of the black and white Night of the Living Dead zombies. And then also, of course, save Sarah from the orgasmic whip of the Marquis de Sade.
Which is actually quite funny because they come across the Marquis de Sade's book up in the attic right before they actually end up on the Wilford. I was like, because I don't think I ever really noticed that till now when I'm older, when I know who the fuck the Marquis de Sade is. I guarantee at 12 years old, I didn't know who the Marquis de Sade was. So
honestly, Kevin, I think at 12 years old, you probably knew more about the Marquis de Sade than Anthony Wilcox did, because this is a very, 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 very not a very unhistorically accurate version of this character.
The Sarah character is drawn to the Marquise de Sade, and it's she's like a kind of like you were saying before, nerd or a shy girl who
well, she's the virgin. She's the virgin as well,
and she pines for Mark's character, who goes for the rich kid who goes for the hot chicks, which she is not in theory. So she pines for him, and so what gets her jollies off? Being tortured on purpose by another man, a dominatrix type man. It's funny because when 12 years old, I didn't know what half this shit was. But when I'm older now, because I haven't seen the movie in probably about 10 years now. until recently. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
My 12-year-old brain probably had no idea what the hell all this shit was, but I'm older now, and this shit's funny as shit to me.
It is funny. He's like calls her like we're gonna whip this whore till she dies, and they call her like a slut at one point.
They're gonna do it till she dies. I'm like, okay, that's good.
She's cool with it. She's like, kill me, please. I want more. Yes.
Well, she's like, keep whipping me because she wants pleasure. But I do think it's fun. It's nice that like when Zach Galligan points the gun at him and proves that he doesn't believe in it and that it's not real, then that allows her to see through the illusion, the illusion of this kind of relationship, this toxic relationship, and that's when she's able to break free from that and embrace true love.
I think though, like I was saying before, I think there's a very powerful supernatural pull that happens here that's different than just her wanting to be whipped or wanting to have that sexual repression, because I think that she's so caught up in the character and believing that she really is there, that until it's proved that it's not, then at that point she decides to go with him.
Yeah, well, same with the China character in Dracula. They both have this. And this is where these sequences are probably the shining sequences in regards to the characters, because there are two different types of characters. There's the one female character who's very strong, who wants a strong man to complement her. That's how I see them. That's why she's able to kill vampires until she gets to the main vampire. And then there's Sarah's character, who's very submissive and who wants that same type of strong male figure, but is willing to sacrifice her own self for it.
I think that China, though, I don't think she necessarily wants a strong man. I don't necessarily think that's the case.
I think she just wants this weird idea of romance.
She has an idealized idea of romance, even when she's talking about Mark character and the actual jock, who I can't remember his name, the actual jock, who comes in.
I just call him Jock.
Yeah. His name's John. His character's name's Jonathan, but yeah, he's a football guy.
Yeah, football guy. Who obviously she had sex with because they're flaunting it at school in front of Mark.
Yeah. Both show. But at the same time, though, she does have kind of an arc, because in the end, during the big battles we'll get into in a minute, Zach Galligan gets to sword fight the Marquis de Sade, and it's kind of pathetic, right? But because de Sade keeps getting the sword away from him and then giving it back to him.
You know what they really needed, though, I think would have worked with this film, is earlier on if they would have had a scene with him already fencing, like maybe that was some rich thing that he did,
And he's a rich, he's a rich kid. He's a rich snooty. He's not snooty, but his parents are.
Yeah,
they surely would have had him take fencing lessons. I mean, come on.
That would have been cool if he had him fencing with Jenkins earlier on. The butler.
Yeah, that would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, yes, Jenkins the butler. Yes, Jenkins the butler, who makes a reappearance here. But anyway, he's dueling the Marquis de Sade. It's pathetic. And then the de Sade's got him dead to rights. And then all of a sudden, boom, de Sade's got an axe in his back. And who threw it? Sarah. Sarah threw the axe right in that bastard's back.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, she has she has one of the greatest arcs in the film itself.
I'm sure she has great arches too.
Because of where her story started and where she ends up by the end of the film.
Yeah. But that too, though, kind of tells you that it's different in the real world than it is when they're in those exhibit worlds, when they go into the exhibits, because there's a supernatural pull there that's not present when they're in the real world, where she's able to just throw an axe and kill him instead of being drawn to him.
Right. Yeah. Because ladies and gentlemen, so as to explain what happens there is that David Warner's Lincoln actually succeeds in completing the ritual. He gets two more people to go through. One goes through the de Sade display, and one goes through the zombie display. Which, by the way, what object did he take from a real life zombie apocalypse that makes that display work? I don't know. That's kind of weird to think about what kind of world this movie is set in. But anyway,
but there's some other ones. There's the friggin' pod people one, and then the alien shit.
The alien one's kind of weird too.
there's a six-eyed alien in this movie.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
once he completes the ritual, lightning happens, and all of a sudden, bam! They all come alive.
One detail with the zombie thing, he does cut off one of the zombies' hands and then stabs it into the gate that comes later.
Yes, thank you, Watkins, for mentioning. Thank you, Watkins, for mentioning that, because that hand is super important in the next movie. But yeah, they have a big free for all because Zach and Sarah think they are donezo, and all of a sudden, out from the back door comes Sir Wilfred in a tank, like he has a wheelchair Desert Storm colored tank wheelchair with and a sword, and he gives Zach a sword that's silvered so he can kill a werewolf and kill pretty much anything in there, and he's like, I brought my friends with me, and we're going to fight evil, as we have to make sure that we burn this place to the ground, and we can't let any of them get out of here, or they'll contaminate the world. Tally-ho and charge! It's like this whole cadre of old men,
including a bunch of villagers,
including Jenkins the butler.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jenkins comes in, and they all have these individual fight moments, and also this sequence only exists because of budgetary reasons, because apparently they ran out of money, and because Hickox apparently was going to do this whole dimension or time hopping finale, going from display to display to display, I guess. But I guess he got to do that in the second movie.
Yeah.
But
actually, I like what they did. I like those villagers showing up, and then the showdown with all the monsters coming into the real world. Yeah.
The highlight of it for me, the absolute funniest. I forgot all about this moment, and it made me laugh so freaking hard, was when Dracula's trying to get out, and he turns into a bat, very fake-looking bat, and the bat is flying through the crowd. We get a POV shot of the bat through the crowd, and then all of a sudden, some random good guy grabs the bat by its feet, holds it up, a voice from off-screen says, "Make my day," and the gun goes right to the bat's face, and the bat gets shot in the face.
Yeah. I thought I thought the bat said "make my day." You don't think?
No, I think it was the guy holding the gun.
Is it?
We don't see his face saying it, so I assume it's some dirty Harry wax there or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's hilarious.
It is hilarious because we start. I mean, it's also hilarious when there's a lot of moments in this whole end sequence that are hilarious. Among one of the funniest ones is the little guy who introduces everybody when they come into Waxworks, who gets put in the freaking the pod.
It was like a Venus flytrap.
It's like flytrap pod.
It's from the pod people display though.
Yeah, but it what does it say? Feed me. It says
it says feed me.
Yeah. It's like Seymour from Little Shop of Horrors, but at the same time, it does come from the invasion of the Body Snatchers pod people display, because that's what she comes out of. There's two of the same victim. Like the victim's dead, and then the other part of her comes out of the pod looking all pod-like.
It's hilarious just to see that whole sequence there. With watching Dracula get his face blown off by a gun, of all things.
It's hilarious, and the fact that somebody actually says "make my day," boom, just randomly. But that reminds me of something that takes us to the death of Lincoln himself, when the big bad is finally dispatched. Not by Zach Galligan. In fact, I don't think Zach Galligan gets to really kill anybody in this movie. Oh no, he kills a voodoo guy. That's it.
Yeah, and he kills a
lot of people.
Yeah, he kills several people.
But he doesn't kill the big bad. Who gets to kill the big bad? Sir Wilfred.
Yeah.
So David Warner is just up there. He's about to shoot them with a machine gun. That I didn't know where he got it from, but there it is.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, in comes Mr. Wilfred, just annihilates him in the chest. And he does the slowest turn while he's dead shooting things, and falls back into the vat of boiling wax, because of course every one of these wax horror movies has to have somebody getting thrown into a vat of wax, even if it really has nothing to do with anything.
It says his signature line. He comes back out. Would you like to take a closer look?
That's right. We haven't even mentioned that. He says that a lot in this movie.
I think, they said they only had him for a couple of days. They got a lot out of him for a small amount of time they had him,
Yeah.
It doesn't seem,
That's what you do with your your name actor. You gotta pay him as little and have him be there as little.
Yeah.
But I often wonder if maybe they had a little extra money. In fact, if they had a lot of extra money and maybe a little extra time, maybe they could have cast, instead of Patrick McNee, I would love to imagine if it had been Sir Arnold Schwarzenegger as that character going around his wheelchair. Can't let any of them get out, or they will contaminate the world. And I have our Schwarzenegger alternator. For alternate was really not a line, but let's imagine if his Sir Wilford had a nice kill line for when he kills Mr. Lincoln. Hit it.
Before you hold up, but let me explain this for people who have not listened to any of the podcasts with you on them. For everyone who's listening for the very first time, Thomas likes to do these Schwarzenegger-isms, where he replaces some of the lines in the film with what Arnold Schwarzenegger would say. But I'm going to let him explain it more. Go ahead. Now you can explain it.
Thank you, Kevin. I mean, almost every horror movie that we encounter has those beautiful moments where the hero or perhaps even the killer has the kill line. Or like Freddy Krueger made a career out of making these, but also you have, very Schwarzenegger-ish moments where the bad guy is right in the sights and it's like, boom. And literally we have one of those, but there's no line. So I will give him 3. I got 3 of these.
Okay.
So here we go. Schwarzenegger alternator 4, David Warner getting shot by Sir Wilford, falling into the wax vat. Here we go. Number 1. Wax on, wax off, asshole.
Okay.
Number 2. I'll give you a closer look at my bullets. And finally, number 3. Hey, Lincoln, your wax is whack.
I think he actually says something to the extent of like, get out of here, save yourself, or something like that.
He does that when the fire is raging in the background after he's killed Lincoln and he can't get out. He says that, and then of course the werewolf shows up and freaking kills him, which is just beautiful magic.
Yeah. Because he fucking takes his whole head off. Yeah. That's like, it's such a, like, it sucks that he gets killed, but it's like the way that the werewolf comes up and just takes his whole head off. It's like, what?
Oh, don't worry, ladies.
Yeah, the thing is, this movie,
gentlemen, he's back in the second movie in a form.
Yeah, he has like a video in the second one or something.
Well, everyone in this film seems to have so much fun in this film, and the characters are so much fun, and you have to go with that when you're watching this movie, because some of the stuff in there is just so freaking hilarious to watch. It's like it's full with lots of gore and gore effects, but really you're kind of laughing at it as well, because it's like extreme. Even for the 80s, it was extreme.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Me go over these monsters, the 18 monsters, real quick.
Okay.
That we see the werewolf we see first, and then Count Dracula, and then the Mummy. The Phantom of the Opera, the jock guy's killed by him. We only see him briefly, and then the Invisible Man is we see him at the end in the display. He's like he looks like he's got like a car of gasoline. He's like killing his victim with like putting gas down her throat or something like that.
It's really strange.
Yeah, and then the zombies. And then Frankenstein's monster that we see only at the end sequence. We see the display, and then Jack the Ripper. We see the display with Jack the Ripper, and he comes to life at the end. We see him briefly as well.
Fun fact about Frankenstein in this movie, by the way, that monster underneath that makeup, it's Kane Hodder.
Is it?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, cool.
And which is really interesting when you could think about the fact that the Phantom of the Opera you mentioned was supposed to be a wax display of Jason Voorhees, but they could not get the rights. So, imagine all the dialogue that they have in that when they're talking about, is that the mask from the Phantom?
Yeah.
The mask from the Voorhees murders? Wow. And then Warner's like, they made a movie about that?
Yes, and that was hilarious.
That is one of the most hilarious. That is one of the most hilarious moments that Warner has when he's like, "Would you like a closer look?" Boom, throws him in, and he turns to the camera basically and says, "They'll make a movie about anything these days."
Right. Yeah, that's, I mean, that, yeah, I think you kind of needed the Phantom of the Opera though, because all these are like classic monsters, but at the same time, it would have been really cool to see Jason. It would have made more sense for some of that dialogue.
Mm.
Yeah.
But then after that, I think we said Jack the Ripper, and then after that, there's the Marquis de Sade, the major one that we see a lot of, and
Mr. Hyde's in there
yeah,
too.
yeah, Jekyll and Hyde. We don't see Jekyll. We do see Hyde briefly. That's one of
Yeah.
the, that's probably of them. It's one of the least least that we see, and then we also see his victim, but voodoo priest or a witch doctor, and then
There's a cobra, also similar to Cabin in the Woods. There's a cobra man in a
yeah,
circus freak kind of cage.
right. That's the Snake Man. That's he looks a lot like the monster from the film
Yeah.
Oh, to
Yeah.
me, well,
or
actually, to me,
Dream.
he reminds me personally. He reminds me more of the Cobra guy in Dreamscape.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dreamscape.
Oh,
I was
yeah,
about
yeah.
to say that.
Dreamscape.
Yeah. He does look like that. And then there is a witch that you only see really briefly. That's probably of all of them you see the least amount. And then the alien, and then there's an axe murderer. That's the first one killed when they opened
Yeah.
the doors.
The
Yeah,
Wilford dispatches him pretty good.
yeah. And then the golem who looks like Frankenstein, and then the pod people what we talked about, and then the
Yeah.
last one is the mutant baby who looks like the baby from It's Alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's-
I didn't remember that until I rewatched it. I was like, oh, it's alive.
yeah.
I had not seen the movie It's Alive when in the 80s / beginning of the 90s. I don't think I made that journey to watching that entire trilogy until a few years before the remake came out. So I came
Yeah.
late to the It's Alive world.
That one gets a pretty cool death too. The baby gets his head blown off.
know.
Yeah.
But that one's shown pretty briefly. You see the in the background of one of the shots earlier. You see the display, but then it's you see it pretty good bit in the later sequence at the end when they all come to life.
Yeah, no.
And then of course the very last thing we see is the crawling hand from the zombie display crawling out from the fiery wreckage across the lawn,
Yeah.
which of course will make its debut and cause the entire plot to happen in Waxwork 2: Lost in Time.
Well, evil escapes. So you
Yeah.
got,
Yeah.
Wilford said, "If just one of these get out of here, it's going to be the end of mankind or something like that."
Well, I mean, not quite, but yeah.
yeah.
So, gentlemen,
It's not going to be good, but
gentlemen,
What's
we've
up?
gotten to the point now where we can rate this movie. What
All right.
kind of rating do we give this movie?
So everyone out there who's listening, I'm gonna explain this to you twice, because there's two different ways we do this. Number one, we love to rate our movies here on Conversation in Horror. Normally, you do a 1 to 5 stars, 1 being poor, 5 being amazing. But with Thomas on the show, we kind of do it a little bit differently. So you want to
Yes.
explain?
Sure, because I like to take an object from this movie that I think defines it in some way, shape, or form. And it can be anything, really. And for me, I think the object that most defines this movie is not the little crawling hand, it's not a werewolf or a vampire or anything. And it's not even a monster or a stake or a sword. No, I think the one prop that defines this movie is the bowl of raw, bloody meat. Because to me, that's what this movie is. It's a bowl of messy, raw, directorial, creative young man power. First trying to strike out in the world. It's messy. It's all sorts of pieces just thrown together from different parts. And that's what it is. It's a bowl of, quote, steak tartare, unquote. So for me, I think this movie, it's 2.5 bowls of bloody steak tartare. I like it. It's okay. It makes a great prequel to the far superior sequel that is Waxwork 2: Lost in Time.
All right. What about you, Dave?
well, I'm gonna rate it like a lot higher because I think it's this is a nostalgia factor for me. But I'm gonna rate it a four of them. I'd say it's 4 bowls of steak tartare.
You know what, Dave? This is the thing about me. It's like, because I grew up with this film and watched it a billion times, I would put it a little bit higher than what Thomas was, but he seems to love the sequel, which I've only ever seen twice and I don't remember any of it. Because I would give this one 4 4 whips from the Marquis de Sade.
Kevin gets kinky with this one.
Hey, this whole movie's got some kink in it. And as a grown-up now, I was like, oh shit, there's a lot more kink in this movie than I really remember when I was 12 years old. So the thing is, if I was 12 years old rating this, I probably would rate it a 4.5 to 5 because I've seen it so many goddamn times. But as a grown-up, I have to acknowledge that it's not a perfect movie. It's just one hell of a great movie to watch, and it's entertaining as hell. This movie has got some rough edges around it, but most everyone's first film does. You just take that in the stride, and if you're entertained by it and it has some type of qualities that you cling to, then you should give it higher ratings. I mean, Evil Dead from Sam Raimi, we're gonna give it a little bit higher. It's not a great movie, but it's got that rawness. That rawness just makes it so good, and that's why I give this one, 4 whips from the Marquis de Sade.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree it is a bad movie as well, but I think that it's just there's a lot to like in it too. I think it's very creative as far as the way that they handle the displays, but there's definitely a lot of, like say, rough around the edges sort of thing going on.
Well, yeah, I mean that, and I've come to expect that with a lot of first-time filmmakers. But the thing is, there is not a slow moment in this film where you don't, as an audience person, you're not having fun. The actors are all enjoying this fucking movie. They're all enjoying. You see it on their faces. They're just relishing this movie. They're one-liners and everything. They're just eating it up.
Well, speaking of actors, that might as well finally pay off what I set up earlier. I mean, it's not that huge of a build-up. I mean, it's just I have met Zach Galligan.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
In real life, yes. He he came to an event where they were showing a screening of Gremlins on December 12th in 2019.
Nice.
And neither of us had any idea how bad our lives would get in the next year. But that moment, it was just a marvelous time where we showed the movie, and then he sat and did a Q&A and told so many fun stories. And I got to talk with him for a little bit, and what we said, I'll say it in the next installment when we do Waxwork 2.
All right, so anything else you guys want to say about the original Waxwork from 1988?
I think I'm good, man.
Okay.
It's fun. It's fun. Y'all should watch it.
Yeah. So you're gonna hate it. You're gonna be like, this movie sucks, but that's what most people think.
It's gonna be weird because if you grew up watching these type of movies in the late 80s and early 90s, you'd have a different perspective on this movie than someone who just watching it for the very first time now. I do believe that audience members just watching it now for the first time will think it's campy and it's not good and all that other type of stuff. But in the late 80s, early 90s, this is a film that went theatrical. It was like one of those bigger films that you would never see at a theater nowadays. You would never see this movie at the theater. These type of films that are lower budget took more risk because it's still like one of the few films where a Waxwork movie. It's a Waxwork movie, for crying out loud, and they do a lot of different stuff in this movie that you are not accustomed to seeing in a Waxwork film. So I think there's a lot going for it, not just nostalgia factor, which is where most of my love for this movie comes from, but I think there's a lot of qualities in this film that will, if you could take the leap of horror faith, you will enjoy this movie. Now, that being said, from Thomas's perspective, he loves the second one, and I don't remember the second one at all because I've only ever seen it twice. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun rewatching it. I don't know why I've never seen the second one that many times. The first one I literally watched all the time as a kid. The second one I probably watched it twice and never did. I don't know. But I want to thank you guys for joining us on this conversation of horror in which we discussed Waxwork. It's been very fun having you on the show. For everyone else out there, I hope that you will seek out other episodes that we've done over the last 2 years, as well as follow, subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Regular episodes are every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Our specially themed month episodes usually come out on Mondays at 8 a.m. But you should subscribe because we will be doing Waxwork 2 sometime in the near future. So with that, I want to thank you for joining us for Conversations in Horror. And we will see you at the next display. Good night.
Would you like a closer look?
Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production. Written, produced, and directed by Kevin L. Powers. Executive producer Kelly A. Inoka. All contents and material from this episode of Conversations in Horror is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures.